want this video to be a heart-to-heart talk with a friend. Forget about that I am some other person in the world giving free advice. Just pretend for a few minutes that I am your friend and listen. So if you come to me and ask how to deal with negativity and stress in life, I would respond. So let me tell you first, there are 5 kinds of negative emotion basically, and they are sadness, anger, anxiety, guilt, shame / embarrassment. There are like many other negative emotions, but all of them will come under these 5 basic categories. Like hopelessness and depression, sad will come under the category sadness. Okay, got it? So first, let us talk about emotions. What are emotions? Not negative, not positive, just emotions. So emotions are basically feedback mechanism telling us that something is right or something is wrong. Like for example, you organized a surprise birthday party for your mom and she cried out of tears of joy and happiness. And seeing that, you will feel obviously overwhelmingly happy. So the emotion happiness is telling you that you did something good. On the other hand, if you feel crappy and dull throughout the day, why is that? That means there is some kind of problem that is there to be solved. That is why you are feeling all kind of negative emotions. That is the way of your mind, of your brain telling you that is something is there to be solved. And let me tell you, our brains are more prone to negative thinking as to positive thinking. Why? Because our brain always wants to stay in the mode of survival. Think of a brain as a problem solving machinery. Okay? In order to survive and stay alive, it needs to identify all possible threats and solve them. So our brain has to examine the worst possible case scenario that could happen and put us in danger. So our brain sends signal to the body to prepare itself by sending negative emotions. But nowadays we don't have survival problems. Like no lion or no tiger is coming to hunt us down. These were survival problems for the ancient humans that were living in the caves and not for us people living in the cities. But our brain still works the same way. It will alert you even in the slightest case of possible threat. It cannot differentiate if the problem is minor, which can be avoided, or major problem. So it is our job and not the brain's to decide the level of problem, if it is minor or major, and react accordingly. So as I read in this book, problems are inevitable. That means they are always gonna be there. So it is not what happens to us, but how we react to it that matters. So as I promised, I told you that I will help you deal with negativity. So here are some steps to help you deal with the negativity. The number one thing and the most basic thing is to accept what you're feeling. Accept what kind of feeling is there inside of you and what kind of problem are you facing. Accept it. Don't shut it off. Don't ignore that feeling. You have to first accept it to deal with it. Many of us don't accept what we are feeling. So when you don't accept what you're feeling inside, it will resist. And what resists persists. Second, identify the source of your negativity. Why are you feeling that way? Is that because of certain circumstances that has happened, or certain kind of people, or your past, or it maybe can be something that will happen in the future and hasn't happened yet, that is making you anxious or creating a sense of worriedness or fear. Now you have to understand, my friend, that 90% of the stuff that you actually worry about never happens. It is true. And majority of the time, you cannot control what is happening outside of you, but you always choose how you're feeling inside about that situation. You can always choose how to react to it. It is in your hands. And one more thing. A few days back, I was listening to one of Jay Shetty's podcast, in which he was saying people play a major role in bringing negativity in our lives. Certain kind of people, not everyone, obviously. So there are like 4 kind of negative people in our surroundings. So number 1 category is called venters. These people always complain about their situation and does nothing about it. Second kind of people, victims. They always blame other people for their situation. They don't take responsibility and blame everyone else for their problems. Third, vicious. Generally manipulative. They genuinely wants to bring other people down. And fourth, violent. The people who are actually abusive with their words or actions. So now, identify which kind of people you're surrounded with, and I know it sounds easy, but most of us can't do that because these people may be so close to us that we cannot just cut them out of our lives. But what we can do is we can reduce the amount of attention span that we shall give to them. So if we cannot remove the negativity, we can reduce the negativity. Third, take action. So once you have accepted your feeling and identified the source of your negative emotions, next thing to do is do something about it. Otherwise, that feeling will overpower you and will burden you down. So the first action you can take is take responsibility for your feeling. Even if it is not your fault, you are still responsible for it because you are the only one that is letting that thing control your feelings. Like now you can obviously seek help of from your friends or family, but in that discussion it should be a 80 to 20 ratio. That means 80% of the time you should be focusing on solving your problem, and in rest 20% you should be sharing how you're feeling. So the third thing I would recommend is genuinely powerful. Do the thing that keeps you in a state of flow. Now let me explain. So I've read this book few weeks back. What is a state of flow? Firstly, the state of flow is a state in which people gets involved into an activity so much that nothing else seems to matter. So find out which activity or activities keep you in the state of flow, that whenever you doing that particular activity you get involved so much that you forget about everything else. It can be anything, like any simple thing. It can be writing, it can be riding your bike, it can be workout, it can be cooking, it can be cleaning your house, it can be drawing, it can be art, it can be creating music, learning guitar or whatever. What matters is you know what it is and get into that state. Somewhere it is written in the book, we have the capacity to do noble and terrible things. This side of the equation we end up depends on the decision we make and not the conditions in which we find ourselves in. And number 4th and the most important thing is self-talk. See, how you talk to people matters. How people talk to you matters. But the thing that matters the most in the world is how you talk to yourself. Words matters the most. Positive words makes us physically strong and negative words makes us physically weak. So if you keep repeating to yourself all the kind of negative stuff throughout the day, like I can never make it, I cannot study, I am fat, I am ugly, I am depressed, I am a loser, then guess what? You are. No one can change that and no one can save you. Words matter. Be very careful about what you're speaking to yourself. be very conscious, be very, very conscious. Let me repeat, very conscious about the words that you say to yourself throughout the day. See, even if it seems difficult, say, I can make it. That's how warrior plays. So that is all I have to say for now. I hope you find some kind of value. I hope that I can provide some kind of help to you. I or any other person can only do that for you. We can only help you. Remember, you're powerful and believe in that.